Great partner, a great partner in Sam Graves, the Republican chair of the committee. We came in together 24 or so years ago, served on the same two committees an entire time. He has a goal of getting the surface transportation bill out of committee by this fall. So we are really going to need strong engagement from all of you. Finally, we'll say that this committee is a workhorse committee, not really a show horse committee. We're not really Hannity worthy or Maddow worthy when it comes to getting on cable. Not really, people aren't calling us every day about these things. We are an island of partnership in a sea of partisanship on Capitol Hill. We really try hard to work together on committee. I like to tell people on the committee, and Sam echoes this in his way as well, if you want to be on TV in the District of Columbia, there are committees for that. If you want to be on TV in your district, this is the committee for that. So help my members get on TV in their districts by bringing them to your projects, showing them the kind of work that you're doing. Give them a little bit of credit for what they're doing as well, so they feel involved in what you're doing. That's the best way for you all to be successful, to have a best opportunity to be successful on Capitol Hill. And with that, thank you very much. I think I got a few minutes for questions. So, yeah. And truth be told, I really can't see a lot from here, so there's a big old light here, but someone's pointing over here.
Yeah. Congressman Jim Brown, Fort Worth, Trinity Metro. I know this isn't a T&I issue, it's a reconciliation issue, but apparently the new tax that's being proposed for electric cars, $200, I think, a registration fee and some other fees, that money will not go into the Transit Trust Fund. And so when the bill comes back from the Senate, I know it's probably too late to fix it in the House, but it's going to come back from the Senate eventually. Anything that could be done to make sure that the money goes to the Highway Transit Trust Fund or to the Transit Trust Fund would be appreciated.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I think it's more accurate to say it is not yet guaranteed that it will go into the Highway Trust Fund. That is more accurate to say, as opposed to it is not going into the Highway Trust Fund. We are not yet done in the House of Representatives with the bill, as you're probably tracking this. I have to be up at 3 a.m. on Wednesday morning to go to the Rules Committee on this bill, so which I'm really happy about, because I work 24/7 for the people I represent. Don't forget that. So I'll guarantee my body will be there. I'm not sure my mind will be there, but so I would just say it's not yet. But I get your point. There was a here. Yeah.
Representative Larsen, thank you so much for your support of the next authorization bill and leading your committee to that. My name is Brad Miller. I'm the CEO down in Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority in St. Petersburg, Florida. And as another area surrounded by water, thank you very much for your support for ferries. You talked a little bit about the portal, and I know APTA and agencies like mine submitted a lot through the stakeholder portal. How do you suggest we best engage with our members of Congress to submit good things to the portal now that it's their turn?
Yeah, we opened the portal on May 1st for members of the committee through to the 12th, and now it's open for everybody and through the end of the month. So the point is, and I'm not suggesting that this is totally neutral, because I don't know what you know, since you have ferries as well, your suggestion could have been to take all of Washington State's money and give it to St. Petersburg. I mean, I don't know what it was, so I can't say I'm going to support what you want to do, Brad, without knowing exactly it is. But what you want to do is to take what you said, what you put in the portal, and like literally hand it to Representative Smith, Jones, Johnson, and say, here's what we did, and we'd love to have your support for these things if you would put them in the portal. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, it's not a science. It's just like members just need to step in and step up to what they're hearing locally. And I would say for you all as transit members, it's important. The same thing's happening. Don't have your member ask for like one or two things, because remember, you know, I represent ferries. I got transits. I got bridges. I got it built. I got I-5 that runs through there. I got rail, high-speed rail. I mean, every member's got a lot of stuff. And so the best thing is to ask for everything, right? It is. If you ask for nothing, I can guarantee you your success rate. If you ask for everything, your success rate goes from zero, your range goes from 0% to 100%, somewhere in between. But if you ask for nothing, I can guarantee what you're going to get around DC. So, and the more we have in the portal, kind of the more we can work together and with our members to make sure people are being, the members' districts are being taken care of. So, over here.
Julie White with the North Carolina DOT. We have a ferry system, so thank you, Congressman, for the idea of the portal to just take the Washington money and give it to North Carolina.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. St. Petersburg already took it all. Sorry. I've been on your ferry system once.
I hope we did an excellent job.
You did well, and it's a great system, but we have things called jumbo ferries in Washington State, and they're gigantic compared to some of the other systems. It's I was surprised about how big our ferries are. So.
Much shallower water, so smaller boats. In your view, is there any possibility of making the Highway Trust Fund solvent? And if not, what might that mean for highway and transit programs going forward?
Yeah, I mean, is it possible? Sure. I mean, it could happen or it couldn't happen, right? That's the possibility part. The probability part comes in part from, first off, you got the highway, you have the gas tax, which it's been so long since I cited these numbers. There's actual numbers about what the gas tax is providing to the whole trust fund, given just the basic funding, and we're short over 5 years. And so that's why the EV fee is an important part of getting it into the trust fund in a guaranteed way. 39 states have EV fees from a variety of levels. Washington State has its own. So there's really not a lot of heartburn on the committee about having a federal EV fee, just like we have a federal gas tax and states have gas taxes. So that relationship is, the same in our minds philosophically. The question is a matter of a variety of things. One is ensuring that the EV fee money goes into the Highway Trust Fund so that it can go to the accounts. Second is we did guaranteed funding or advanced appropriations, whatever you want. You all probably call it advanced appropriations because you're in the business. If you're going to talk to people that you represent, you'd say it's guaranteed funding, which they understand that more because it's more realistic and less budgetary to talk about it in terms of guaranteed funding. We did that for the BIL. I have I don't have a lot of confidence right now this House and the Senate will do guaranteed funding, but we're not done. This is going to be a long process, and I told people when we did the FAA bill, Federal Aviation Bill, and actually when we did the BIL, it's going to die 19 times before it lives the 20th time. Doing these bills is like fighting Dracula, right? There's going to be a stake in the heart of Dracula. I swear to you 19 times on this bill. It's going to be dead 19 times before it passes. So just stick with it. So whatever your priorities are, just stick with them. So thanks. I'm sorry. Even I know the international signal for Congressman it's time to go, and this is it right here. So thank you all.
That was great. Why don't we just dive into the next session? Phil Ing, General Manager of the MBTA, and I have the privilege to introduce Senator Elizabeth Warren. Senator Warren is one of the nation's leading progressive voices, serving since 2013 as Senator of the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts. As ranking member of the Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, she will be at the center of public transit investment and policy decisions, bringing her leadership, her passion, and pragmatism to the issues that are so critical to us and the riders that we all serve. In her career, she has been a champion for green technologies in transportation, and public transportation has a terrific story to tell in that regard. Transit agencies have led the way with 55% of our buses, as well as almost 2/3 of buses that are on order, running on clean technologies. So I look forward to discussing that and several other issues in today's fireside chat. So let's give a big round of applause. Senator Warren, please join me on stage.
Hi, Phil. All right. I think they told me to sit closest to the podium.
Sure.
Okay. Hello. Good to see everybody. I love it. Transit nerds. My people. Okay, I'm ready.
I love that. Let's dive right into it. I have the honor of being here, and let's just jump right into the question. So, right off the top, what does public transportation mean to you, to Massachusetts, and everywhere?
Nothing works without public transportation. You know, and I really do mean that. I mean every part of that. I mean housing, I mean healthcare, I mean education. And I think of it this way, that, look, we've got a big city like Boston. Boston literally cannot work without public transportation. And I really want to say thank you, Phil, for helping straighten out our teeth. Phil's been doing a wonderful job. We need it for climate reasons. We need it to be able to get around in the greater Boston area. We need it so people can get to work, so people can get to school, so people can find houses they can afford. But I think that that's become too much the story of public transit for many people. They think Boston, but they don't think Western Mass. And so, for example, out in Western Mass, I was out not long ago to a place called Soldier On. And they do housing for homeless vets, bringing them in off the street, a lot of medical problems often. And they started out with a big facility, and they realized what they really needed more than anything else is permanent long-term housing for these vets, places they could age in place. Found land that's not very expensive, got a lot of people who made a lot of donations. Wonderful plan, and they really have built a small village. But you got to have transportation. They need those buses to come by on a regular basis so people can get to their medical appointments. Some people still want to be able to have part-time jobs, want to be able to go buy groceries, want to be able to go do something else in their lives besides sit in their rooms. And without that, we got nothing. So I think telling the story in a broader way is important. And I'll mention one last one. Kim Driscoll, who's now our lieutenant governor, when she was mayor of Salem, Massachusetts, big problem in Salem, Massachusetts. They have a wonderful tourist trade. They've really been building up. Go spend some money in Salem, Massachusetts. It's great at Halloween, but it's great all year long. Lots of restaurants have gone in, lots of things to see. You're down to the water. It's all beautiful, beautiful. But people can't afford to live there and wait tables. They can't afford to live there and do a lot of the jobs that need to be done to keep Salem a place that's going to be a vibrant economy. Without mass transit, they got nothing. So what did they do? They put themselves together and said, you know, we're just going to have to get a bus that goes around, a van, goes around 3 times in the morning, 3 times again in the late afternoon, get anybody who wants to sign up and going. A creative solution that met the needs of a community. And to me, that's what public transit is all about. It's an all of the above as it's reimagined given the issues of any different location, wherever you live. And besides that, we got bridges, we got ferries, we got all the rest of it. We got it all. Yeah.
Well, as I listen to the senator, it's such immense pride that we have this opportunity to make people's lives better, making transit options viable for everybody.
Exactly.
So let me dive into the next question.
Sure.
With the expiration of the Infrastructure Investment Act and Jobs Act next year, you have an opportunity to shape surface transportation or reauthorization. So I'd like to hear a little bit about what you think about funding for the next transportation bill.
So look, we got to make 20% the minimum. My own view on this is we actually ought to start asking for more and be negotiated down if we have to. But it really is, I want everybody to understand this. Look, I don't have to persuade you all. There's a lot going on right now in Washington. A lot of things are getting broken. But we have got to keep the money coming in to transit. And we just have to persuade our Republican colleagues as well as our Democratic colleagues that it's in everybody's interest not to go below 20%. So that is my number one goal. And then my number 2 goal is, to the extent we can do it, is moving in the direction of giving you more flexibility in how you spend that money. That's got to be a key part.
Yeah,
You need it in
absolutely.
different ways. So that's it for me.
Well, that's music to our ears,
Yeah.
for sure. How do you envision protecting that funding opportunity in the next authorization bill? Because there are some that are looking not to extend it. And
I understand. And look, this is going to be the fight. And this is why it's so great that all of you are here today. Because we got to drive this point home in every single Senate office, every single House office. We all need this funding. We can either all succeed or we can all fail. But that's how it has to be. This is not a Democratic issue or a Republican issue. It's an everybody issue. And I actually want to add a piece to that. Donald Trump says he wants to build. Great. I got an idea for how he can build. He can build a lot of transit. He can put more money into more flexible transit initiatives all around the country. And trying to push that narrative while you're here is just absolutely crucial.
yes, thank you. The funding does support so many critical
Yep.
things like capital investment grants, low or no emission buses, rail funding, accessibility upgrades for people and disabilities. Among these, other policy priorities for that bill?
Yeah, you know, I think the way I'd say it, Phil, it's all of the above on these, you know, and I've got the bill right now with Tammy Duckworth, where we're trying to get more money in so that everything we're doing is accessible, so that people on wheelchairs or people pushing strollers or people who have other mobility impairments will be able to access all that we're doing. And then I always like to use that as a lever. Once you're working on that part, then now that's also a good time to upgrade the equipment to make sure that everything is at its best operational capacity. So I think that's a piece we're at least going to try to get out there and negotiate with them on a little bit. And it's a terrific piece to talk about because, again, it is a reminder, this is where I was starting, how many people use public transit, who's using it, and why they need it. Tammy does a wonderful job of bringing our veterans in, and particularly our veterans with disabilities who have to count on public transportation. And that is sometimes, I don't want to overpromise, but sometimes a way to bring two parties that are hammer and tongs at each other over budget matters together to say we're going to try to support the veterans here. And this is at least maybe one place that gives us a bit of an angle into that.
That's great to hear. There's so many areas of this common ground, and I know so many of my partners here have so much information we'll love to share
Good.
and give you any ammunition you need to be able to
Good.
make that point. Chairman Gray is on the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. He set an ambitious timeline for the House reauthorization bill this year. How do you envision the surface authorization process proceeding on the Senate side?
Well, on the Senate side, I don't think, there's no reason it should be slow if we're working together. And I know that's a heroic if, but it really is the case. If we get a bipartisan agreement that, look, everybody wants to get transportation, 20% is our minimum, you know what I mean, kind of the key parts. And the only elbowing is out at the edge of how much flexibility can we build in that wasn't already built into the statutes. What can we say about a couple of these initiatives, like the initiative to make it all more accessible? We ought to be able to do that in a pretty speedy way. Now, if the other side of the aisle starts out with, we're going to cut this by half, boy, now we're in for a siege, right? And that means everybody get down into your bunkers because we are going to fight this. Because I'm not going to roll over on this. We have to have a minimum. Look, I'm very frustrated that we haven't raised it above 20%. But we are where we are. That has to be our minimum. And conversation about numbers should be conversations about higher than 20, not conversations about lower than 20.
That's great. That's
Okay.
absolutely great. So with so many APTA members at this conference scheduling meetings with their members of Congress this week, what messages do you think we should bring to the Hill to make the case for public transportation?
So I think nothing succeeds like a story in Washington. Every time you walk into a senator's office or rep's office. Ideally, if you know something about that particular state, if you're from that state or if you're from that district, but to explain who's using it, make it real. Frankly, too few senators, too few reps actually get on public transportation, which, by the way, I should say, we were just on public transportation last week. We were on the T. Took the red line downtown because it was going to be too expensive to park and too hard to park where we wanted to go. We went down to a great concert. But trying to draw a picture in the members' minds about who's using this, that's why I started the way I did. A group of business people care enormously, even if they never set foot on public transportation, because they need their workers to be able to get to the restaurant, to be able to get to the gift shop, to be able to get to the mall, to be able to get where they want to be able to hire them. That's the story you can tell. Our vets who are trying to do something creative for those who have no housing, tell that story, make that story real. The more you can do that, the more you get allies in this fight for why the resources are so important. Because that's how I see this. The fight is to get you the resources you need so you can do the job you're trying to do. And if we can get you more resources, you are the people I have confidence in. You will use those resources well to give us better public transit. You will use those resources so that more of us can count on it's going to show up on time. The equipment's going to be clean and usable. The driver, if we've got one, is not going to be somebody who's stressed out. It's somebody who's going to say hello. That every part of this, that the routes are going to cover where we need coverage. This is our opportunity. I'm going to make one more pitch, though, that you can also throw in. Talk about the veterans, talk about the business leaders, talk about the next generation. Everybody wants to think about their hip with the next generation. Our granddaughter is about to move and get her first job, and she's picking out an apartment. And I said, "Are you going to get a car, sweetheart?" She just graduated from college. And she said, "No." She said, "I don't want to have to get a car. I figure I can get on a line and be able to get to where I want to work. And if I have to go someplace else, otherwise I can get an Uber, I can get a Lyft if I need to." But her principal way of getting herself back and forth to work as she is planning moving to a brand new city she's never lived in before is the assumption that she's going to be able to rely on public transit. You all have seen the numbers. Fewer and fewer young people are getting their driver's license. They're waiting till later to get their driver's licenses. It's one more way to make the pitch that this is an investment for today, but it's an investment for tomorrow as well. It's an investment in our young people. It's an investment in our businesses. It's an investment in our seniors. It's an investment in making this country work better. If you make that pitch to the senators and the reps, we got a much better chance of having this thing slide on through. Like I said, there'll be some discussions about some pieces, but I hope very much to keep these as add-on discussions because we all agree on the baseline. And the baseline is forward funding. The baseline is you've got to have your 20%. The baseline is you've got to have a little more flexibility on being able to spend the money. We love what you do and we need what you do. You just got to remind us of that.
Thank you, Senator.
You bet. Thank you again, Phil.
Thank you, the Senator, for spending some of her precious time with us.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator.
Okay. Good. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hi.
Senator Leanne Redden on
Good to
the
see you
incoming
again.
vice chair. Let's get
Good to
Phil
see
in
you.
the photo.
Come here, Phil. There we go.
All right, I think with that, we're going to take a break until 2:30, and we'll hear 2:15, and then we'll hear from Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy.
Please be seated and silence your cell phones. The program is about to begin. Please be seated and silence your cell phones. The program is about to begin.
Please welcome MJ Maynard Carey.
Good afternoon. Okay, let me get started here because we've got some important people in the room. As we all know, Secretary Duffy has been extremely busy since taking office on January 28th, and so we are especially grateful that he has made time to be here today with all of us. He has been on the job for just 111 days, and we are honored to be one of the first industry associations to host him. As the 10th of 11 siblings, can you say Irish Catholic? Secretary Duffy was born and raised in Hayward, Wisconsin. Prior to being selected to serve as the nation's 20th U.S. Transportation Secretary, he represented Wisconsin's 7th District in the House of Representatives from 2011 until 2019. While in the White House, he was a member of the Financial Services Committee, and he co-chaired the Great Lakes Task Force with a special focus on transportation issues. Before entering Congress, Secretary Duffy was the district attorney of Ashland County, Wisconsin. During his 10-year tenure, he had a success rate of more than 90% of the cases he brought to trial. After leaving Congress, he hosted the Fox Business show, The Bottom Line, with Dagan and Duffy. Now, what you may not know, and I didn't know this until just a few minutes ago, is that Secretary Duffy was a world champion lumberjack athlete. That's a sport that requires not just physical strength, but also mental grit, endurance, and the ability to learn and adapt. And those are all the traits that you need to manage the nation's 4 million miles of public roadways, 140,000 miles of rail, 20,000 airports, extensive coastal and inland waterways, and our essential public transportation network that employs 430,000 people, drives the U.S. economy, and serves 35 million Americans every day. So please welcome U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me. So just a side note, lumberjack sports, chopping, sawing, log rolling, tree climbing, all the skills of the old-time lumberjack in modern-day sports. Maybe you watch ESPN 6 at 4 o'clock in the morning. You might see these sports, but a great part of American history. My other claim to fame is I did a reality TV show back in the day, and I met my wife on reality TV. We're the first reality TV couple in the country, and we're the most productive. We have 9 kids, so beyond that, all is good. So, listen, when I took this job, someone warned me and they said, listen, you could get caught up in just going from crisis to crisis to crisis, and after 4 years, you will have never accomplished the goals and the mission that you set out when you first took the job. And as I've been on the job for 111 days, I see that as absolutely true. You can go from crisis to crisis. But I don't want that to be the story of my 4 years. That doesn't mean we don't deal with crises, but we always have to be mission-driven on all of the priorities that I have as a secretary, but also the priorities that the president has for the department. Now, just another side note on that, the president, when he called me, by the way, he said he loves the Department of Transportation. He said if he wasn't the president and he could pick any department, he would love to be the secretary of the Department of Transportation. So it's great because we got a good supporter in the White House, but also the problem is that if I mess things up, he's watching and I will be held to account. So but he does care because he's a builder. He likes to build things. And he said, I want you to focus on building the big, beautiful infrastructure that connects our people, that moves our products. That's what's so important in America, and I think we can do a better job building those projects, being more efficient with the dollar, and being more effective in the dollar spent to assist and help the American people. And so I would tell you that when we think about big, beautiful projects, it does include roads and bridges. But it's not just roads and bridges. That also includes transit and transit infrastructure. 100%. And maybe contrary to popular belief, I don't have a favorite. I don't care if you want to use planes, trains, or automobiles, your EV or your combustion engine. I think America has a right to choose, and I think they should choose. And so in our department, I don't see transit as the ugly stepchild of the department. But I have 9 kids. I tell you that, 9 kids. And if they ask me who is their favorite, I tell them I don't have a favorite. I love you all equally. It's kind of the same as the modes. I care, all the modes are different, but I care about the success of all of the modes that we have at DOT. And we're going to focus on making all the modes great, trying to leave each mode better off than the way we found them. And speaking of transit, our work, your work, has such an important impact on the people that you serve and the cities that you serve. You get it right, and people have a remarkable relationship with you. You don't get it right, and people don't want to invest in you. So doing your jobs well and serving people well matters because you move families, you move commuters to work, you allow people to get to their health care appointments, and you allow people to shop with local businesses. What you do matters for the communities in which you serve. And if you do your job well, it has a great impact on the jobs that someone could take, or the neighborhood in which you can live, or the school in which your kids can go to, can all be dictated by how well our transportation systems work in the cities in which you all serve. I didn't grow up in a place where people had a lot of money. I come from rural America. I come from poor America. And there's a lot of people that you serve that you're the last lifeline. That if they can't access public transportation, they can't access opportunities. They can't get to a job. And if they can't get to a job, they don't have a shot at supporting their families. They don't have a shot at the American dream, because many of them can't afford a car, which, by the way, we're working on the price of a car. By the way, in America, the average teacher's salary won't allow you to buy the average price of a brand new car. We're working on that, but there's something wrong with that. And so making sure that all of you do your job really well is incredibly important. But with that said, we also serve communities. And the good people who rely on transit is who we serve. And I would argue that the mission is safety and efficiently moving people in and throughout the communities that we serve. But safety is key. We have to make sure we move people in a way that they can rely on. I would argue that if you think that transit is for a homeless shelter, or if you think transit is a place where we should allow those who are mentally ill to congregate, or if you think it's a place that criminals can go to get access to a lot of hardworking Americans and pick their pockets or grope them, I think you're wrong. I think we have to have transit that's clean, transit that's safe, transit that the American people can buy into to go, I love my system that I get a ride on because it's safe and it's efficient. But I know in so many, I know there's a lot of places around the country where that is not the mission. And it may not always be the authorities' fault. It might go to a city council, it might go to a prosecutor, it might go to a judge. There's a lot of areas in play. But I do think the American people expect that. We invest a lot of money in these systems, and we should expect the very best for our communities that get taxpayer money. So I think it's important that we actually get back to basics. The basics of improving security, deterring crime, stopping fare evasion. By the way, everybody wants more money, right? You all need more money. I think the easiest and fastest way to get more money in your pockets is to stop fare evasion. Let's have people pay their fair share when they ride. Easy one. Some tens of billions of dollars are lost because of those who are fare evaders. I would just note that I had a chance to meet with WMATA here in DC, and I think, again, I don't know that WMATA's perfect, but WMATA's taken steps to go, listen, if you're a repeat offender, where's WMATA? Right there, right there, right in front. Great. They're sitting right in front of me. You could have been in the back corner. But they're trying to take people out of the system that are repeat offenders. Good on you for doing that. Putting more security on your system. Thank you for doing that. In LA, they hired their first transit police chief into the system. Again, steps that are driving safety and security, I think, make so much sense. If I could just take a moment, too, I look at the transit workers who serve our systems, the operators, the engineers, the maintenance crews, the dispatchers, the custodians. All of them keep us moving. They also deserve a place to go to work that's safe. They don't deserve to be abused and beaten. And so I want to partner with all of you. You have a friend in me, you have a friend in this DOT, but I'm going to ask you to actually use your money well, to clean up your systems, to make them safer, to make them cleaner. I don't know why when I travel around the world, I think so many other countries have safer and cleaner transportation systems. Why should we have something second best? Why should we have something less than that? I think we should aspire to be the best in the world, the safest in the world, the cleanest in the world, the most efficient in the world. I think that's what we should aspire to because we're Americans, and I think our people actually deserve that. In the coming years, we're going to have a chance to showcase our great work. The World Cup is coming to America. The Olympics are going to be in America, right? It's going to be great. And when you have all of these people come and pack the cities, the host cities, there's one huge issue that we have in those cities. We're going to try to move people around these communities in massive numbers, and we have to make sure that our transit system is going to crush it for all the visitors that come to see the World Cup and see the Olympics. And we are going, the Congress is going to have to help us out, but the Congress and DOT are going to invest in these communities and these cities to make sure we show the world what we can do with American transit. And I'm not going to leave you on a downer, but just have a side point. I get a lot of side points, and I'll end like 4 times for you, and I apologize for that. But we are $36 trillion in debt. We are. It's becoming a problem. Our credit rating was just downgraded by Moody's, and we run a deficit of $2 trillion a year. So we're spending a lot of money that we don't have, and we are borrowing off the backs of our children. And I think across government, if we can do things a little more efficiently, or the dollars that we get, we serve our communities that much better, I think it's going to be easier to ask for the resources that are necessary to do all the great work that so many of you do. So let's double our effort, let's triple our effort, and let's make our systems more efficient, let's make them safer, and let's make them cleaner, and we'll partner together and make transportation great again. Thank you. God bless.